And we're live. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to New Works Night Interviews. We have an exciting evening of plays tonight with 4 different playwrights. Three of whom are here. Actually, 5 different playwrights. 3 of whom are here, and 2 I hope are watching. Maybe one's going to join us. But we have Laura Force Scruggs, who is the author of Sexy Grandma, and Karin Williams, who is the author of Girl Number 2.
Girl Number 2, yeah.
Yeah. And Dillon Rouse, who is the author of I Meant to Swipe Left. So welcome aboard. And we also have one of our actors here, the very distinguished Richard Hensel.
Doing the least amount of acting tonight of anybody in the entire company, but happy to be here to talk to you today.
Who was brought in by our playwright Leah Emmerich, and we're happy to have him playing Mr. Zoloff.
Mr. Zoloff.
And how to get into kindergarten. All right, well, let's kick it off, and maybe our playwrights could start. And I see Laura Thoma is joining us.
Yes.
And she is the author of Writer's Block.
Yes.
Yeah. So my playwrights, why don't you talk about your the play that we're going to be presenting tonight and what the genesis for? If you could just tell us a little bit about it and how you got started with the play. Let's start with Dillon.
So I Meant to Swipe Left. It's based on a short story I wrote when I was in grad school. And so I wrote it just basically on experience with online dating, app dating, and how it's turned into something like, it's more like on the idea of like how it's also a drag to go through with it. You know, like you're swiping every day, you swipe left and you swipe right. And then you're on the day, you think it's going well. And then here goes to the next stage, which is thinking too much. And that's what both these characters do. They think way too much on what's going to go next. And so I wrote a short story about it, and then I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And then I took an intercultural Japanese class with bunraku, with puppetry. And I've never ever thought puppetry would work. I mean, like, I love Avenue Q, but I didn't ever thought it would work. But then I read Paula Vogel's play, The Long Christmas Ride Home. And I fell in love with it. I love the characters. I love the dialogue used, and I love the use of poetry. And so, especially right now, I want to experiment with it. I don't know where it's going to go. I just want to have fun. As a playwright, I'm always encouraged, and I know we're encouraged to try new things. And so for me, I wanted to write something with puppetry. I was like, okay, so why don't I just take something with online dating and use bunraku with it. Now I'm still learning about bunraku, so this is really great for me because I get to see what's working, what's not working. And I know there's a lot of questions this play has, and I'm really excited to see what I can do and what I need to work on with it. But yes, that's how I got started.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and go to Karin Williams. Talk about your play, please.
So my play was the first play that I ever wrote specifically for Zoom. And I've always been really interested in the idea of the interaction of technology and theatrical art, and how that's both kind of a blessing and a curse. So I think when I set out to write something for Zoom, that was the first thing that came into my head. And I wrote a series of actually 3 different plays about how technology is changing the art of theater, and this is the first one. So hope you'll tune in to see it.
Girl Number 2. Okay. And let's move to Laura Thoma. Why don't you talk to us about Writer's Block, please?
Sure. Well, as a writer, I have definitely experienced writer's block a lot. But the genesis of this really was thinking about how most of us as writers have a character that we have written that is somewhat of who we would like to be. They are a stronger version or a different version of ourselves. And I thought, like, what would it be like if, a writer had that and then tried, and the character started to build on its own and found its own strength, and then the writer got a bad review and wanted to reverse where the character was, would the character stand for it? So that's kind of where I started. And I'm really interested. It was originally written for Zoom for one person, so it was one actor playing both parts, and now I'm getting to see two actors do it, which is amazing, and I definitely want to expand it. I think there's more there.
Okay, and let's move then to Laura for Scruggs, the author of Sexy Grandma.
Hello. Yes, so two of the people who've had the biggest impact on my life would definitely be my punk grandpa I wrote a play about, and now I've written Sexy Grandma, who was the wife of punk grandpa. And they really taught me how to be vulnerable and to really not be worried about what other people are thinking. And this is a very definitely self-effacing play. And in this play, I especially explored the aspect of my grandma and the topic of sex. She was always not afraid to talk about. And she just taught me to have no shame. And it also gets very complicated. There are times that it wasn't the most helpful thing. That it was a very complicated relationship, but definitely investigating the grandparent-grandchild relationship and the importance of that.
Okay, so we've got five different playwrights and a variety of plays. One of the plays, our playwright Leah Emmerich, who's not here, has written, is entitled "How to Get into Kindergarten." So it's a fascinating play and a funny play, and the actor who's portraying Mr. Zoloff is here, Mr. Richard Hensel. And so, Richard, you want to talk about the play a little bit and your role?
Well, it's a very clever idea. The idea is a very exclusive school for children that everybody's dying to get their kid into, and this couple is going for their interview. I'm playing with 35-year-olds, so you have to use a little imagination.
You can do it.
Who's my young boy?
And,
You also play the Keebler elf, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's old too. But,
yeah, young spirit forever. He's immortal.
But they go for their interview where they're all set to drive and read and plan and give gifts or whatever they have to do to get their kid into this school, plus $75,000. And instead of being interviewed by the principal or even a teacher, it's a 6-year-old boy. And
right, 6-year-old boy with a lisp.
Progressive idea. It's a very progressive idea where you let the children be in charge of the school.
Mm-hmm.
It's very clever and very, very well done.
Very well done. I'm going to put you on this.
Almost the appropriate age.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot again, Richard, as we turn. So what has been your experience this year, not acting on stage, but acting in virtual readings? What has that been like for you?
Well, it's a social thing. And it's certainly, for the first month or two, it was a very, very broken project. Everything could go wrong. And we still have audio problems, and we still have camera problems, connection problems, lag. It's too bad because we're accustomed to being across the table from each other, sitting here, or in each other's arms. So it's a little difficult that way. It's also clear that a lot of this is here to stay, even when we go back to doing live things. Always continue to do this kind of thing as a way to do what we're doing now, because it's very expensive. A friend of mine, Ferro, is a producer and director. He took a production class. He was taking a production class in Manhattan and was having to spend what it cost to go into Manhattan from Jersey to take this class. And it was a good class and everything, but when the pandemic came, it became a virtual class. He said, I got the same information and it was so much less expensive on a big set of big class. But then also the person teaching the class didn't have to rent a room in Manhattan.
Right.
So I think a lot of these things are here to stay. I've been producing audiobooks since 2003, so that part of my life is exactly the same.
Right.
Studio work changed when the pandemic came, and there's a new thing called Source Connect. If anybody wants to do voiceovers, only $125 to sign up, and $35 a month. You can cancel and reopen after a month. You can cancel it month by month, whatever. And that turns your internet into what used to be ISDN, still around ISDN line, so that you can connect to a studio. So, what Ernie Keebler I do with that agency in Italy, and there's producers in New York and there's producers in Italy at agencies, and they're all online, and we're doing this all on the internet. And again, the expense that's spared by the people who are doing
Right. Streamlined.
But I feel bad for people who run audio studios and theaters.
Yeah.
Got to have to pay that heat, even if you're not doing anything.
That's right. That's right. Richard, your audio was I think it was a little better when you had your headset. Although, was that right? Is everyone
No, it
hearing
shouldn't be any different. It shouldn't be any
Okay.
different.
Okay.
The
I can still
microphone-
hear you. It's just a little bit low.
Well, the microphone's the same way.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Can you hear that?
I can hear you. I can hear
Can you
you.
hear me thumping on it?
No.
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 Coming from my earbuds.
It's coming from your earbuds. That's the
It
difference.
switched
Yeah.
on me. Yeah, it switched on me when I put in my
Okay.
earbuds. But I'll fix it.
Okay. My playwrights, what have you been doing this year to get through and to transition in this time? What's changed for you in 2020? Let's start with Laura Scruggs.
Well, there have been a lot of opportunities, actually. So I actually started going to the Naked Angels cold reading group online, which is also in New York and LA, and I've also experienced performances of theirs online. I go to the Chicago one on Tuesday night, and so it's been like Act Your Page in this way that well, some of you I do know, some of you I do know from real life, but a lot of you I've never met except on screen, but I still feel this community and this comfort, and it means a lot to me that we've done. Like, you're doing almost everything that I've written. I've written only several things, but I mean everything. Doing it, and it means, I can't say what that means to me. And also with the International Center for Women Playwrights, I joined that during the pandemic, and I've done some online writing sessions with Karin, and it's that's been very helpful to have 25-minute time to write and then 5 minutes off, and then maybe do it 2 more times. And Chicago Dramatist, I've heard their readings online. So I'm amazed at how much we can still do. Sometimes I'm disturbed because I'm getting used to it sometimes. but someone else said, but then we are adapting. So there's that. So
Right.
That's how we can look at it different ways. So nothing is the same as live theater, but I think we're making the most of it. And I'm inspired that you can't stop art. And I also want to say, shout out to Laura Thoma here, who does a journaling class every week. And it has helped me very much. It's also been a very therapeutic thing to help us get through this weird time.
Okay.
He's generously offered this.
Sounds like you're busier than ever.
I'm really busy. Thanks. Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities.
There's still,
I'm
yeah.
trying to make the most.
Yeah. Karen Williams, what are you doing? How are you surviving?
So, the pandemic has been tough in many ways, but I think one of the best things about it is it has opened up all these avenues for collaboration with people in many different parts of the country. Laura mentioned the International Center for Women Playwrights that I'm a part of, and I've been doing writing groups and workshops with people from Africa, from India. I mean, we've really started to connect online through Zoom, and really, I think, communicate and share a lot more with people in other areas of the country than we did before the pandemic. So that's been really amazing. It's amazing to work on this reading tonight with actors from Chicago, and I'm in the New York City area, and I guess you're in Wisconsin. So It's great to be able to do that because I don't think people ever thought about doing that before. Like the technology was available, but now we're being forced to use it and be creative in different ways.
Dillon, Rouse, how are you coping with all of this?
Honestly, I'm doing my best to stay motivated. I feel like at this time for me, like it's gotten me to write more because as playwrights, I mean, like let's face it, I mean, we're always sometimes we're not at home. I know that's very cliche, but we're always doing this, right? We're always typing, we're always writing, we're not usually out. It's motivated me also to enjoy like the little things. Like I found me a puppy, a stray puppy, and I'm playing with her. It's a red healer, and I had to put her outside because she gets excited and she wants to like jump around. And I had to. I'm doing right now is enjoying life, like going outside, playing with her, reaching out to family and friends that I haven't in a while, which I feel shameful. You know, I feel like as humans we lose touch with people, and since this pandemic, you know, we see people like losing their loved ones. Boss, she just lost her father to coronavirus, and so that's making me want to do my best. I want to go. You know, I talked to my mom. It's the little things, but it's also as a play, like writing wise, it's gotten me to just be patient. You know, like work on one project because my problem was before the pandemic was I want to start like 5 different projects as a player because I'm like, oh yes, I want to do this one. I'll write this one. Oh, it's not doing too good. I'll start on this one. It makes me give up quicker. This one, I'm working on a play because since the coronavirus happened, 3 people I knew who worked in the bar industry lost their lives to suicide, and they and people don't know what this pandemic is doing. It's keeping people at home, and it's hard for others to talk. And this isn't me like saying I think this is bad. I mean, lockdown is bad. No. But I just want to let people know what's going on for those dealing with mental issues. And a friend of mine, like at one point, she went missing, and that scared me because I haven't talked to her in months. But she's finally she resurfaced. But it prompted me to write like a play that I'm doing right now. It's called "Where's Abby," and that's what I'm working on right now. I thank you all for what you're doing. I know this is hard for everyone. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep writing. Keep grinding. Love you, Bohem.
Thank you, Dillon. That was very touching. Yeah, we focus on the deaths and the sickness, but they're the deaths of despair, and they're out there.
Yes,
Laura, Thoma, how's this year been for you?
As with everyone, it's been quite challenging. What was interesting for me is when the pandemic hit, I was scheduled to have a reading of a play that I've been working on for a very long time called Magpie, and it obviously got canceled. But it was the first time it allowed me, that was the first thing I did on Zoom, and it allowed me to work with people, as Karin said, all over the country. And in fact, I got to work with a gentleman who owned the theater that I first performed in. I got my equity card when I was a kid, and like I worked for this guy in Virginia, and he got to be in my play, and that was so exciting. I reached out to him randomly. I didn't actually have his email address. I found him on Facebook, and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing this play, and would you want to do it?" And he's still an actor. He's in his late 80s, and he said yes. And it was amazing. It was amazing to get to work with, people, somebody from New York, somebody from Virginia, somebody from Seattle. So that was really inspiring to me. And then I have another play that's a historical fiction that I kind of took on the challenge. There's something in November called NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month. Yeah. And I adapted my play into a novel for several purposes, but I thought it would be good for the play, and it was. You spend 30 days and you write a novel. So I adapted this play to a novel, and I think when I have the time to go back and reverse it, it's going to really affect the play in a beautiful way, because it allowed me to open it up in a way that I had never really thought about as just a play. So I feel like, though it's been really challenging, much like Dillon, you're home, but I feel like I've worked more constructively on single projects and really given my whole focus in a way that I didn't feel like when I was running all around and having to go here and there and, be in theaters in person. So in some weird way, though it's been challenging and we have lost people, there's also been a real calm to it for me.
Mm-hmm. We have. And so you all have stayed creative and engaged and found ways to engage, and that's part of getting through. So, with the new works night, and I'll just talk a little bit about that, just to remind anyone who's watching that we're going to present new works by 5 playwrights, 5 emerging playwrights tonight, and we're lucky to have 4 of them here. And so, one of the challenges, and I think also the benefits of presenting very different pieces, is that it can be jarring, but it also can be strangely congruous. And so let's talk a little bit about that, about one acts and short plays, and about that format. And it's just a free for all. Just jump in and talk about what do you think is the benefit of writing in miniature, writing for the one act or the 10-minute.
Well, I would like to say I was really late to the party with the with the short play. I was really scared of the form, and I still am. But when I started to see playwrights who do it extremely well, where they weren't skits and they were actually plays, I was totally intrigued, and I'm nowhere near mastering it, but it's quite fascinating. I'm also a life coach, and in that world, like learning to write succinctly is so different. And I feel like that's what the 10-minute play is. Like you have to learn to really master form and structure as well as voice in that tiny little compartment.
I think for me, like, honestly, I love short, like 10-minute one act plays because that's where I started. I started writing 10-minute plays. And to me, it's kind of like when y'all listen to a song, like any song you think of, like, think of a good song in your head. You don't have to say it, but one that tells like a good story in 3 minutes. Think of that. You know what I mean? Like that gets you like in a good mood, that touches your heart. And I think if a songwriter can do that for 3 minutes, I'm sure we can do that for 10 minutes. That's a special thing to do because you're capturing something really quick, like really short. And it's like also short stories. Like there's so much to tell, but there's so much left off that when you're done with the song or when you're done with the short story, like, I wonder what's going on. Like you continue it yourself. And I'm thankful for 10-minute like one acts. Full lengths, it is a challenge for me because that means you have to be consistent. So I personally love like writing one acts and 10-minute plays.
I spent about 15, 20 years reading plays with dramatist classes, and they concentrate on 10-minute plays. And it's just remarkable how much can be, I mean, because you're limited in your length of time, and all the plays tonight, there's so much going on. It's like funny. We can talk about it for a half an hour. It's a 10-minute play that you can discuss for a half an hour. And because of all the questions it brings up, and so many different topics tonight too. Just pretty amazing. The different things that are AI and children's schools and all these other topics are great.
You're right. You're right. It is a range. It's a range, and sometimes there is even a subconscious theme, but it's quite a range tonight of evocations. Any other thoughts about that format, about the 10-minute or the one act format?
Yes. Go ahead, Karin.
No, I really love writing 10-minute plays. I mean, I've been doing it for a while now, and I think it is challenging to try to be succinct and to tell a full story in a really limited period of time. But I like that kind of challenge. And I've also written several pieces. I mean, I think a shorter format gives you kind of the freedom to explore and later expand on it if you feel like it. And I have done that several times. Like I've written a couple of plays that are actually, constructions of groups of 10-minute plays that can function independently or can be put together into a longer piece. So it's interesting to do that and just kind of play and have fun with it.
Mm-hmm. Laura, Scruggs?
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time, so you have to get to it, get to the meat of it. And I certainly don't know what I'm doing, but I'm learning. And I really didn't like it at first. I really was like, oh, I don't like this. But I'm having fun more than I knew I would. I'm surprised I wrote another little one, a 10-minute play over COVID about my niece, called Emissary. About a loss I experienced, a very personal thing, but how she's helped when I heal, and it's fairies in it because I love fairies a lot, and also recently I was challenged to write a bad play, and it just came out of me. I really, it was a holiday thing. It was a little short, just a little, like just a few playwrights, this little group we have, and so that was a 10-minute play too. So I just have been having a lot of fun. I'm surprised at how much fun I'm having.
We're going to do an evening of bad plays.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Oh.
Dan Tabby, got me thinking about. And of course, if you remember the old Saturday Night Live, the Bod Playhouse, Dan Aykroyd. So we're gonna do an evening of bad plays. So you playwrights can keep that in mind.
That's a really bad one.
So it's a good format, and tonight we've got a great variety of themes, as Richard said, and playwrights, and it's going to be an interesting 90 minutes we're running, I think, for this evening. We've also got a great casts, including Richard and some other folks who you will see tonight. What do you think audiences can get from these virtual readings? And some people have gone to them, some people have shied from them, some theaters have chosen not to do Zoom readings or any kind of virtual presence. And some, like the Irish rep in New York, have fully embraced it. What do you think is the benefit for audiences in seeing works presented on Zoom or StreamYard or other virtual formats?
No pants.
Yes.
No pants, and drink and smoke what you like throughout the entire performance.
And you can disappear if you need to, if you need some privacy or if it's not working for you. And no one will
hear anybody else unwrapping their candy.
Well, that is a big benefit.
A lot of times, no money. There's so much free stuff available right now.
There is a lot of free stuff. You know, we don't want to create an appetite for, like, oh, I'm never going to pay. Why should I pay when I get all this content? But
still, that's how all this started, was like, it's all free until it's not free. But I really like it, so I'll just go ahead and pay.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's nothing wrong with getting everybody hooked on virtual theater.
Right.
And then I don't know. I think there's a way to do both, but I really miss hugging people. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Well, Parker,
that's a big part of our lives,
Absolutely.
I'm shaking hands.
I miss being in an audience too. I've got to say, like, I miss being in a big group of people and all watching the same production and being able to kind of like share, not just on a chat, but in real life.
What were you gonna? What were you gonna say, Laura?
Well, I think I totally agree with Karin, and I think like that is the difference with live theater. I think this virtual realm that we're in is neither film nor live theater. I mean, in live theater, we're all energy based, whether you're the actor feeling it from another actor on the stage or the audience. But I do think there's something really special for the audience, and I think they're actually getting to see behind the curtain a little bit and getting to see our process a little bit in a way that they don't see in a polished theatrical performance. So I think, I hope it's also helping to educate a little bit about, what goes into theater and what goes into creating these amazing live performances for them.
I want to say something to piggyback on that. So, I've been a Live at the Met fan for years, and what I love is that you do get the backstage interviews with the great sopranos and tenors, and you do get to see the scenery change. I could not go to New York to see the kinds of productions that I see now in my home I just watched Macbeth with Anna Netrebko and Zelchik. I mean, great opera stars. So there's accessibility. And then, yeah, we do all want to be in the same room, but we have to remember, too, there are folks that's never going to be possible for, right? Whether it's a disability or accessible or an economic. So if this democratizes theater in some way, if this makes it more accessible, by all means, may it continue. And I like what you say, Laura, about seeing kind of the machinery behind the play. And so, yes, for the live audiences, the live presentations for those who can do it. But for those who can't, like there are plays that I will never see just because they weren't filmed.
Right.
Like Tallulah Bankhead in The Autumn Garden. I won't get to see that. And so why aren't we preserving it? Why aren't we just filming it for folks who can't be there? I'm sorry. And Dillon and Laura, did you have something to add to that?
I did want to say something. What you were saying made me think of the Edge of Orion Theater Company here in Chicago, and they work with a neurodiverse population. So it's a collaboration of people with and without special needs, and they did a production of A Midsummer Night's Dream online during this time, and it was very innovative how they were able to coordinate the sets and everyone being able to do the show from right where they were. So I just want to give a shout out to them.
Yeah.
And for people that wouldn't have been able to be on stage.
Yeah. And Dillon, did you want to add anything?
I just want to say, as a playwright, I enjoy it because it's a yes and no, but I miss the adrenaline feeling. Like as a playwright, we were sitting on readings, and then you're a crowd full of people, and you're just sitting there. You're wondering, does that joke work, or does that line work, or that?
The reaction.
Here, I can actually relax and have a pad with me and just write down. And like you're saying, I could be in my pajamas and not worry about anything. Just go, okay, oh yeah, that didn't work. I don't know. It's different. So I do appreciate the Zoom plays. I really do. It's more relaxed and it's less stress off the playwright. If that makes sense.
Theater was already changing before the pandemic, and the world is changing at such an accelerating rate. I was just reading about a TikTok musical, right? A musical created for and presented on TikTok. It's a quantum leap from my childhood. When the television went off at midnight with the Stars and Stripes, and it was just black, right? It's quite a different world. And we had a rotary dial telephone, and now I can get content anywhere, anytime, in any way. So theater was already changing, and BIPOC representation was already being talked about, but now much more seriously. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens to theater in 2021 and beyond. However that ends up manifesting. Well, other thoughts before we sign off? I mean, what would you like to say about why should people tune in tonight?
Because you're doing a great thing and you're facilitating an amazing opportunity for playwrights. It's true. And I think one of the best things about 10-minute plays and these kind of readings is if you don't like one, wait, 5 minutes, there'll be another one. You get all these different types of things,
That's what my best friend loves to say. Yeah, if you don't just hang on, there's another one. Yeah, here comes another one in a few minutes. Yeah.
Let's go to Second City. Every once in a while, there's a good scene.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. No.
Yeah.
I haven't been there for a long time. I don't know what they do anymore.
Last I'd heard, it's for sale again.
Again.
It's for sale. Yeah. Well, I say again, it's only been for sale once in its history, but it is for sale, just like IO is for sale.
Yeah, it's for sale. I thought they were just going to close down.
I think the Chicago Times, I think they said about a month ago that they were selling the building and the brand. Shauna Halpern.
I was terrified for them the first time I set foot in there. I went, oh, this is a big responsibility. Huge.
Yeah, a lot of overhead. Yeah.
But I love all those people.
Yeah, the pandemic's been hard on improv. It's been really
So
hard.
sad.
Yeah.
Sharna has worked so hard and
She
done so much
has.
for everybody.
She's
And
amazing.
all of them.
Yeah, and it is a lot of overhead, but it was like November, Chicago Sun-Times that they were talking about the building being for sale and the brand. That's the thing too, when you have a physical theater, you have to think about that bill comes in every month, right? Utilities and rent and I've been sitting on webinars every week, and there was one digital program, and they were charging several $100s just for that service, which is creating a digital program because people are going to paperless tickets and programming.
Oh gosh, yeah.
In
the back of your mind, you're always saying it. Shouldn't it be cheaper or almost free because you don't have to buy any paper or ink?
Right. It's so I think we're going to have to. I'm going to just put this out there. I think we're going to have to rethink how we subsidize the arts.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think
we don't subsidize them.
We don't. It should start to look more like Denmark and France and Germany.
How about Russia?
Sweden.
Yeah. It should start to look like we're not where every month is a nail biting white knuckled month for the artistic directors. Am I going to get them in the house? Do I get 70% capacity? Am I going to make it, or is this a loss?
Can I say something to that, Parker?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that is absolutely true. And as an emerging playwright, it really affects that because they do not want to, a lot of places cannot do new work. They can't afford to do new work. They need to do work that that has a name, and a playwright who has a name, and that they can bring in butts in the seats. So it is important to change the way we do it.
I was mentioning last night to folks, I don't know if you were still there, there was an article in the New York Times about why you do Scrooge and how it was even more important this year. And you do Scrooge because then you can do Vanya to 12 people.
Right. It's like the Nutcracker.
Right. You do the big blowout at the end of the year, so then you can do Pinter, to less than a half house.
Yep.
But if you've got subsidy, if you decide, in Wisconsin, our state arts funding is dreadful. And so if you've only got 4 cents on the tax dollar going to arts, you are white knuckling it, and you are deferring to the tried and the true, and you're not going to take chances on experimental or absurdism or anything, or even a one-act play festival.
Right.
So, but anyway, why should folks come tonight?
I think we've got at least one world premiere. Karin, this is a world premiere for yours, right?
Yes, this is the world premiere of my play, so that is a good reason to come.
Yeah.
I also wanted to add that I really enjoyed seeing all of the plays at the rehearsal last night, and I think this is just going to be a really funny and fun and entertaining evening. So that's why I'm coming, because I think a lot of these are just out and out hilarious. Really great.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think just to show the appreciation and the strength of artists coming together, especially during this time, just to show even through dark days, we're still being creative. We're still doing what we're doing. So,
okay.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And you don't have to wear pants.
Exactly.
Always. Yes. Yes. You might see things you won't see anywhere else. Tonight.
But please do wear a top.
I've
had that. I've already had that. I've had multiple situations.
Yeah.
Multiple situations. So please contact us to find out more about Act Your Page and the New York's Night. You're going to see great actors bringing some fun, interesting, provocative plays to this stage tonight at 6:30 Central Time. It's free. It's online. You don't have to wear pants. And we'd love to have you in the audience. So pass it on and contact one of us, and let us know how we can get the link to you. I'm going to thank everyone. Dillon Rouse from Texas, author of I Meant to Swipe Left. Laura for Scruggs from Chicago, author of Sexy Grandma. Karin Williams in New Jersey, author of Girl Number 2. And writer Laura Thoma in Chicago. No, you're not in Chicago anymore.
Not anymore. I'm in Connecticut.
In Connecticut, author of Writer's Block. And Richard Hensel.
Woo!
I could be anywhere because of the green screen.
You could be.
Put me where you wish.
But also Chicago-based, and Mr. Zoloff tonight. So it's going to be a great night of theater. It starts at 6:30 on Zoom. We sure hope you can join us.
Central Time, right?
Central Time. Is there any other time?
Well, those of us on the East Coast tend to lean towards East Coast time, so I always have to tell
I know, and the West Coast do that too. Oh, I know. Put it in my time frame, yeah. Central Time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.